These days, a lot of people watch trucker videos online, showing what life on the road is like and giving advice to newcomers. Maybe you've seen them, maybe not. Since I'm still young in this job, I end up running into that kind of content almost every time I open TikTok or YouTube Shorts. I won't drag this out, but I dropped out of college for personal reasons, and people always tell me I could have been more than a trucker. Honestly, it's not a bad job. I've been on the road for more than 3 years now. The hardest part, of course, is the long hours. The isolation, for example, is something you can only understand once you experience it. My only advice would be, make peace with the ghosts you carry, because they'll find you during the lonely hours. That's exactly what happened to me. This happened a few months after I got my first job with a trucking company. I was still completely new to the business, learning everything the hard way. I was driving from Portland, Maine to Binghamton, New York. It's about an 11-hour route. It might not sound so bad, but I had already finished nearly a 9-hour trip right before that. I wanted to get all the deliveries done as quickly as possible, so I decided to drive straight through the night. If everything went well, I'd arrive a little after 2 a.m. The beginning was smooth. The road was almost empty, which let me drive a little faster than usual. About halfway through, I reached down to the console to grab an energy drink, but there wasn't any. I had forgotten to restock the truck after my last run. Frustrated, I smacked the wheel and cursed out loud. There's nothing I hate more than having to stop mid-route. It might sound silly, but every time the truck stops, it feels like my body gets twice as tired. I glanced at the GPS and realized I had no choice, either stop or risk falling asleep at the wheel. A little later, I saw a sign for a service station and pulled in. The place looked dead, with old signs and rusted gas pumps. Only when I parked did I realize it wasn't really a working station, but more like an old convenience store that had been repurposed. The outside lights flickered weakly, like they were about to burn out. Still, I got out and walked to the door. It opened easily with a creak. I stood there for a few seconds until my eyes adjusted. That's when I noticed a faint light coming from a doorway in the back. I walked over carefully and found a refrigerator plugged in near a counter. I opened it hopefully, but it was empty. In fact, it didn't even have shelves. It looked like someone had ripped everything out of it. Before I could close the door, I heard a noise from the main room, like something dropping on the floor. I froze on the spot. I stood there in silence, trying to figure out if I had imagined it. After about 10 seconds, I decided not to take the risk. I hurried out and practically ran back to my truck. When I started the engine, I glanced instinctively back at the store. The door was wide open. I was absolutely sure I had closed it behind me. A chill ran up my spine. I wasn't about to find out what was inside. I shifted the truck back onto the road and pressed the gas. The problem was, the relief didn't last long. Back on the highway, I started to notice the cab curtain swaying in the rearview mirror. The air was off, so there was no reason for it to move. I kept my eyes on it, and I swear I saw the shape of a figure forming behind the fabric. My whole body went rigid. I didn't have any kind of weapon, so I discreetly grabbed my phone and set the GPS for the nearest police station. The next 15 minutes were the longest, most unsettling of my life. All I could picture were hands reaching out from that curtain, someone trying to grab me from behind the seat. When I finally reached the station, I parked as close as I could and ran inside, yelling for help. Within seconds, police had surrounded my truck. When they opened the back, they pulled out 5 people. 2 men, 2 women, and a child. They were filthy, dressed in torn clothes, wrapped in ragged blankets. One of the men was holding a large kitchen knife. None of them said a single word. They just stared at me with unsettling eyes while they were cuffed and the child carried away in the arms of an officer. But that wasn't the part that stayed with me the most. On the passenger seat, there was a child's toy, full of sand, like it had been left there on purpose. And my bag, which had been closed before, was open. Inside was a note written in my own handwriting, but I had no memory of ever writing it. The words were simple. "Do you remember playing with me at the beach? To this day, I can't explain what happened that cold, cloudy night, or what that note really meant. All I know is, it wasn't just another stop on the road. Thank you so much for your company. If this story kept you hooked, don't forget to click on the card to watch the next story.